Scholars, Destiny has one last hope. Or at least that's what Astrocross thinks. And unfortunately, the last hope is also in the person that helped destroy Destiny. Let's get into it, shall we?
I missed the game and counselor. Here to spread the cheer. Join me on this adventure where gaming wipes away the tears.
You didn't hear me wrong. Astrocross posted a video, the last hope we have left. Allison Lurs. Probably one of the worst parts of Destiny. But we'll get to that in a minute, shall we? We're gonna react to the video and then we're gonna give some insight. But yeah, I'm already thinking that there's too much cope going on. The final hope. What? Yeah, people like, I get it. But I'm just gonna say this. I know he has been all over defending Destiny, but at the end of the day, I'm gonna call out the shitty parts of Bungie. And if he wants to continue to follow the balls of Bungie or the Destiny part of Bungie, that's his prerogative. But I'm gonna call out the bullshit. I'm not friends with them. He might be friends with them. He might have, some bias toward them. I don't give a shit. I'm gonna call and say the truth for what it is.
All right, guys, there's a video I want us to watch right here. Vase has got a video here. Destiny still has one last hope. Let me just say this. I'm not going to...
Why? Why are we reacting to a video? Fuck! I thought he was going to give us his own opinion, but he's watching someone else? Fuck! I'm going to get comments that are going to be snarky like, I love this meta of react. People who react to people reacting. You think I watch these videos ahead of time? Do you really think I watch these videos ahead of time? Great. So now I get, maybe I'm wrong. Now I have to change my thoughts because I thought it was Astrocross coping, but apparently it wasn't. Maybe he is. I don't know. You know what? I'm already recording this. Yes, we're reacting to someone, react to someone, react to someone. That's not what I meant to do. Suck it up. I'm getting over it. You can too.
Get on the copium train. I will watch this video. I want to see what is the quote unquote last hope.
Nearly everyone who built Destiny is gone. The raid team, cinematics, artists, designers. Entire departments disappeared overnight. But I started looking at who is actually left at Bungie, and a couple of things surprised me. Some of the people responsible for Destiny's story, where it was going, are still.
Yeah, the people that were ruining the story. The people, in fact, isn't it funny? And I'm going to say this now, we're going to probably regurgitate this. The final update tried to tie in. We essentially went full circle. We went, and maybe that was the plan all along, but the 9 are so fucking boring. No one gives a shit about the 9. No one gives, except for a few people. It was the shittiest part. And yes, the gameplay sucked ass. And if we look at Edge of Fate, it sucked ass. We got the portal. It got the blame for the portal, the gameplay, the matter spark, but also the story was really fucking boring. Don't get me wrong. There were some cool cutscenes and moments, but overall, the whole story was fucking ass. It was bad. And you'll have content creators try to gas up and try to historic change and things, say how great the Fate Saga. Everyone knows the Fate Saga is worse than the Light and Darkness Saga. It is awful, and poorly written.
There. If Destiny is truly over, why keep the people who write its future? Let's talk about this.
Why keep narratives? Because it's one, they can use them on other projects that aren't necessarily Destiny. I mean, Sony did say that they were going to have some people be absorbed by Sony. That was part, which I didn't see anyone. I saw Layoffs. So maybe she's one of the people that think she is just a narrative at Bungie, but she's not on Marathon and she's not on Destiny. And here's the deal. I think if she was going to stay on Destiny, it would stay as Destiny narrative. But I feel it's pretty safe to say she's probably being put on some incubation project that isn't Destiny. Whatever it is, it's still not going to be good. Jesus, this is loud. Let me know how loud is it for you guys?
Destiny is a live service game. Great gameplay has kept it going for all of these years, of course.
That's true.
But paired with that is the story. We started with a cast of characters.
I'm going to stop right now. I feel like I'm reacting more to this video than I am Astacross. So I guess you can consider this me reacting to the video and the bits of Astacross, because I've not seen this video at all. So I'm going to give input to him and him. Two people. You get me reacting to two different situations. How about that?
And for over 10 plus years now, we've watched arcs unfold.
Yep.
We've learned about characters not only in the main story, but through its extensive lore.
I'm going to say this right now. There is a very dedicated lore community. But one of the biggest failures, and this is not Allison's fault, by the way, this has been an issue, is that they put lore and lore tabs like it's Dark Souls, because Dark Souls has story, but most of it is explained through the items and the lore attached to it. And then you're supposed to figure it out through some of the hints and this, it's exploratory. Destiny, you just sit there. I hate games, and I think most people do, where the most of the story is reading through a fucking book. If people wanted to read, they would read a fucking book. That's why a lot of people hate the Halo books, is because they would, instead of reading a fucking book, they would rather some of these core bits be part of the game. They want to see it. They want to play it. They don't give a shit about seeing and reading. And that is something that has been an issue for Destiny, is the grimoire and having to go off website to read. And now they have it in game, but now some of the most important shit is in a fucking book. People want to play the game and they don't want to, like, if you've been working and you've been reading, working at an office, and you've been reading emails and reading paperwork, the last thing you want to do is sit your ass down and read some fucking more. It's not a job. It's supposed to be an experience. You're not experiencing it by reading. If people want to read, again, they wouldn't be playing video games. Most of your content, 99%, except for maybe some small additives, should be in the game. The story should be playable and experienced through conversation, not bullshit you read. And I'm glad that we no longer have to deal with that bullshit in Destiny anymore, because Destiny's over. Is one of the biggest cons to Destiny is that you just so much fucking lore is right in a fucking book. Again, that's not Allison's fault. That is just the way Destiny's been since it was created.
And sometimes that was sort of a downside of how big Destiny's universe really is. Bungie could only pick certain stories, maybe tell a couple of arcs and have dialogue from a couple of different characters in releases. Whether that be constraints from the narrative part of writing it, or just getting the available actors and actresses that could play the parts.
There's so many though, yeah.
It's a shame all of Destiny's lore doesn't exist in the game and formats you can play, even the campaigns, but that's just the way it is. There are tons of plot threads and mysteries in the extended media, from weapon drops to lore books. Gameplay is a mechanism, but to me, story is the meaning behind Destiny. Through every season,
I think in campaign wise, that's why, here's the deal. Most people hate Lightfall and Edge of Fate because of its story. Lightfall, people at least enjoyed Strand. Edge of Fate, people were saying Lightfall was better. People were saying Curse of Osiris was better, which I agree, because there was actual gameplay and less fucking reading. Here's the dealio. So some of the core beats of the story were not explained in the campaign. It was either explained later in the other seasons that wasn't even part of the main expansion. Those seasons, by the way, got removed from the game. So FOMO, you want the story of Destiny, well, you got to experience it in that moment, or you're just fucked. Go watch a YouTube video. Again, that was also very shitty of this series, this whole game. But there was also, you have to stop and read every fucking gun you got, every piece of armor you got, any extra lore bits to get some very important information, which is stupid. No one, that's another big reason why the story failed, is that no one wants to read this shit. Why the fuck do we have to read about Osiris losing his ghost shell, Sagira, which was in Curse of Osiris, or people who've never played the fucking game, because they can't play Curse of Osiris anymore, so that story's lost. How the fuck are people supposed to know about her? And then the whole him losing his ghost, and now not having, like, not only do people lose parts of what makes Osiris special, like they don't know who the fuck he is, except for some weird senile ass man. They also butchered new players from understanding this character. Functionally, like they don't, if you started playing Lightfall, you have no idea who the fuck Osiris is, except he's just whining and bitching and he can die. And if you didn't read the lore books or read the, the side shit, you didn't know. It's just, again, I'm bitching because this is, people want to say the lore is what carried Destiny. No, it was the gameplay first. People play Destiny because of the gameplay. The lore was secondary. How do I know this? Because Destiny 1, the lore sucked ass. At least the big launch of Destiny. It wasn't, people continued playing because of Vault of Glass. Because the gameplay, the loot, the circuit. Taken King, not only did it bring good gameplay, it also brought good lore that you experienced by just playing it, playing the story. It had a beginning, middle, and end. Yeah, a lot of people got the lore through Buy from Mylan. Well, until Mylan went Mara. he went crazy. But again, people want to gas up the narrative of the story. The story started going downhill after Forsaken. There were bits and pieces where I was hyped. Like Witch Queen was a phenomenal story. But then Lightfall was a turd. Then the Final Shape, I like the Final Shape. But the Final Shape had some very glaring issues. Like why some of the biggest beats about the Witness and his impact as a villain was off screen. Instead, what we saw was this on-screen bullshit of rehashing Zavala's nightmares of his wife and his son. Like this bullshit that we already resolved, we're regurgitating that for some Days Are Alive bullshit, which, surprise, surprise, probably came from Alison Lur for fan fiction. Like, we have a badass Zavala who's been like, we're going to do this. He's stoic. And then he's turned into a basic bitch in the final expansion. He's a scared little bitch who's no longer loyal to the Traveler, who thinks the Traveler is just not cut out for the job. And we don't even know why, because all that stuff that sounds really fucking cool is off screen. Yeah. Let's not even get into the fact that, you know what? Let's just continue the video. We could rant all day.
Season, every release, we had stories expanded upon, and new mysteries injected in those releases which would generate hype for the future. Oh, Eris is learning about Xivu Arath. Boom, she becomes a hive god and one of her sisters. This is why Destiny was always so interesting, and why is it...
Which you wouldn't know if you didn't play it, because that's not part of the game anymore. That's another thing, is like, they are smelling their own farts, that they were selling narrative instead of gameplay for seasons, which the problem with that is when you remove that season, you remove the narrative, which then fucks up the whole story. Because I guarantee you, people who played Renegades, because it was Star Wars, one, probably don't know, unless you played Shadowkeep, you don't know who the fuck Eris is. But two, you didn't even know that she did all this, that she literally became a hive god. You just didn't know. Especially if you didn't play episode Heresy, which also continued that.
Creator, it was super fun to cover. I personally was always interested in it. Oh my god, Bungie is actually doing this. What's gonna happen in the next DLC?
Do you see the common trend, by the way? Do you see the problem? It's not even just Alison Lur. This is just a historical trend with Bungie and how they do story, we're going to have faith that these people who made so many blunders and mistakes with the lore and characters that were beloved, like, again, I think what they did to Osiris was just a massacre. They took this legendary Curse Osiris. We first saw Osiris for the first time. He's a badass, and they massacred him. They made him a nothing, a nobody. Literally, Lightfall, he was just bitching and whining, senile old man, just screaming with his, he's got his schizo moments. Like, I don't understand how they could take some of iconic characters and make them fucking trash. Again, not just Allison's fault, but I'm just saying, am I going to trust these people to try to save the franchise? Well, with most of the people that actually made Destiny gone, these people being the ones trying to save it, no.
They're hinting at Nezarec, the final god of pain, and these relics we're finding around the system. Next DLC, we fight him in a raid.
Yeah. They use a season to build him up, which, again, if you didn't play the season, it was removed, so you don't even know who the fuck he is. And if you didn't read the books in Destiny 1, you don't have no idea who the fuck he is. And then in Lightfall, he has such a useless, he has no fucking role whatsoever other than he's just thrown in there. He's literally just thrown in there for some reason. He has no important role in the main story. He's just used as a default raid boss. Whoa. Really took this legendary character that most people who, jumped in for Lightfall to play Destiny for the first time have no idea who the fuck he is, and he's all in a raid boss, which is another shame because I feel like they should have gave him the witness treatment where you faced him in the story and then you faced him in the raid, because then if you don't raid, you can enjoy it. But if you are not a raider or never raid, you'll never experience it, which maybe that's why they made Lightfall, Root of Nightmare. They made that raid, the easiest raid in history. Maybe that's why, so the people could experience him for the first time. But either way, like, again, the narrative is not going to save Destiny.
Even the stories that didn't pass.
Although I will say Nezarec was kind of a pushover. But here's the thing, man. Here's the thing. I felt like Nezarec was just kind of just like thrown in there. There was so much
exactly.
Setup, and then just kind of like just toss him in there in the raid, and we could cheese him. So had they, like, I don't know, presented him better, made sure we couldn't cheese him, made him as challenging.
I think if they made him more core of the story, like Rolk was, yes, he is a badass, but he wasn't imperative to the overall main Witch Queen story. He wasn't. You could probably play Witch Queen, never deal with Rolk, and it would never mess up the main story. That's the nice thing about Vow Disciple. It's extra content. You learn that the Witness has disciples, because we see Callus become one for Lightfall. But you're not missing out on any, like, immediate big information. Sure, if you are deep in lore and you want to absorb the whole world, there is bits that you're missing. But if you are jumping in and experiencing the game for the first time, you could miss the whole raid and not miss out on any major function parts of the story. I know there's going to be lore nerds and, ball fonders out there that are going to be like, you're wrong, but I'm not wrong.
Challenging as Roke was day one, I feel like he would have more presence.
And out to actual in-game content, there was always the feeling that they could actually be a thing in the future.
After that witch killed me and cursed my remains, I assume that's when she whisked away the veil to Neptune, the coveted key to the Witness's plans.
Massive layoffs just took place, but Bungie told us it's time for Destiny to live beyond Destiny 2. That seemed hopeful. Of course, it was before the layoffs, but we don't know what these incubation projects or ideas include. Will something Destiny-related get greenlit?
I'd be surprised.
As reported, some of the narrative team members have been laid off, but some at the top still remain. Allison lures a narrative.
I don't know how we're good at our jobs. I have no idea how she kept her job. I do not. I do not know how she kept her job. And you could say, well, maybe she's not to blame for all the things that happened, but she's the narrative director. She was directing. She heard the story. She heard the direction. She heard all the choices, and she signed off on it. You don't direct and not be like, hey, I don't like this. Directors have quite a bit of free power to like change things. I just, it's crazy to me that we have, by the way, I made a video where we react to people getting laid off. She did not block me. And just the proof, I have bookmarked. She watched one of my videos, probably where I told some of the people to put the fries in the bag and thank God some of the shitty devs are gone. Or she saw where I was talking shit about her. Blocked me. Mwah, chef's kiss. That you ever want to know if Bungie employees ever watch my videos? They do. They do. They absolutely, I guarantee you there is a shit ton of developers that watch my videos and also the content creators that watch my videos. They may not do it openly, but they do it. But yeah, so again, she made Heresy, which was a big fucking nothing burger. Granted, was that her fault? But the story literally did nothing. It changed nothing. It had no impact into anything. It literally did nothing. We brought back a villain just to kill them again, to fight a villain for them to run away, and then to take someone that was like our frenemy and make them our enemy again. We went full circle. It was nostalgia bait. It was a shitty fucking story. Edge of Fate, Renegades, shit. Monument of Triumph literally was putting the house out of, putting the fire out. Like, hey, how can we live in this house? We gotta tie loose ends. And we went full circle back into the winnower. Suddenly the 9 are now, instead of trying to, wipe things out, now it becomes, this is them trying to make the weapon stronger so we could fight the winnower. Like, it was some, like, what the fuck is this weird ass narrative? Just awful, 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 awful. Like, I'm glad we went back to the winnower, but the whole, like, it was just awful. By the way, she changed this because it used to be, it used to have like she used to mention fanfic. There's no way. I swear I thought it used to say she used to make fan fiction. I crash stories and worlds that inspire lifelong characters. I swear, I feel like she did change it. Oh, so she used to do Magic Gathering narrative. Guilds of Ravnica were all right. Ixalan was all right. It's all right. Nothing. She didn't make any of the most popular shit, so I'm not like whatever.
Narrative lead for Destiny 2 is still at Bungie. Her LinkedIn has changed from Destiny 2 narrative director to simply
Put the
narrative
fries
director.
in the
But this
bag.
makes sense considering Destiny 2 is no longer in development. Either she will work on narrative for Marathon along with others like Julie.
I hope she does. So when a marathon shuts down, listen, you got out strike one. There's only one game left. There's no shot you can rat out of this one. And yes, I'm going to blame, the narrative was bad. I'm going to blame the narrative leader. It may not have just been her, but we know the other people lost their jobs. So like, they get to put the fries in the bag. One way or another, the shitty devs at Bungie are gone. There's some good ones that got fired too, but there's also shitty ones. And so I'm celebrating them being gone. We just need to get the rest of the trash out.
Nardine, or maybe, just maybe, and hopefully, something related with Destiny's future.
If she would have put Marathon Director in her bio, how would you guys feel? And not that I don't want Allison working
I wonder if she'd be saying we're good at our job still.
on Marathon, but I mean, like, we're saying it's a safer play just putting narrative director, two routes here. Either she's a narrative director for an incubation project that hasn't been disclosed yet, that they're trying to currently get greenlit, or she's moved over to the Marathon team and just simply just put narrative director instead of Marathon narrative director. I don't know, dude. I don't know. I don't want to get too hopeful. I did tell you guys though, leading up to the layoffs, it's like if Allison is still there, I am going to hang on to a thread of hope. But then
I'm not. I said this before. I think I want Halo 3. Or sorry, I want the remake of Halo. No, I want Destiny 3. But I don't, I no longer believe that anyone at Bungie can do it. But I definitely didn't want Bungie to do it because they've lost all trust. Especially their leadership. But now that everyone, including the good devs, are gone, the cinematics, the raid team, the sandbox team, some of these core bits, if you're telling me that the hope is the narrative, I would rather Destiny stay dead. I'd rather the game be dead. listen, I'd rather instead if we continue to dig a hole that shits upon a franchise that I loved, kind of like how I felt about Halo, like Halo 5, and then we went to Infinite and was like, dude, you're shitting on this IP that I love. At some point you just say, you know what, I'd rather you just stop. You want to bring Destiny back, remake Destiny 1, go for the easy cash grab, but fuck's sake. You think you think she's the savior, the hope? What the hell?
What am I supposed to do for you?
Then we've also been told that there might be even more departures in July. We'll see.
We will. That's another thing. I guarantee we will see more layoffs. Even that, maybe leadership. We know leadership's supposedly supposed to jump ship, but listen, I mean, Marathon's not doing good. They're trying, and I'm telling you, what you've seen is that Sony has laid off a bunch of people, including Bungie, has announced that they're removing physical discs, they're increasing prices of consoles and even subscriptions now. They are doing everything possible to make their shares are going up to make their shareholders happy. If laying off more people will balance out the loss of Marathon, which is just wait for this next quarter. They're going to make that play where they're going to focus. They're going to try to they're doing all these layoffs to balance things out and to make the damage not look that bad. So you're going to be like, Marathon didn't really do that bad. No, it did. It's just being offset by the fact that all these people lost their jobs. These studios are shut down and console prices are going up. So people who are paying for them are spending more. Again, this is all how these companies, they try to, make things look better than what they really are so that their shareholders are happy. Especially we didn't have any layoffs, we didn't have any price increases and all that stuff. I feel like there's no way Sony would be able to any other way try to make things look better for them, because Marathon is not going to do it, especially with Destiny, piecing out.
All teams are important in game development. It does look bleak considering how do you continue a Destiny game when you just let everybody that knows how to make a Destiny game go. But in terms of a franchise like this, if you're going to build for the future, Narrative are the ones who understand the universe. They know unsolved storylines. They know where the Fate Saga was supposed to go. They know how to pick up a possible sequel in the future. If Sony's goal was to completely abandon Destiny, why keep the Narrative leadership around?
Again, people think that if there's other incubation projects, they can put them on that. Plus, something else to consider that people will not... If they decide to outsource Destiny, the IP, to another studio, Sony's like, we have no faith in you. We're going to let someone else work on a Destiny IP, kind of like how they did Destiny Rising. They could have her oversee it. Like, not necessarily she won't be, running it, but she would be giving feedback about the narrative. And a lot of situations, like the thing about Destiny Rising is it's a completely different story. It's a brand new story, so it's not running into anything that would mess up. I guess if Bungie they're living on Cope 2 and they think that, well, one day we might come back to and have a Destiny 3 if we're lucky. They wouldn't want the other new Destiny game to pull from the original, like Destiny 1 and 2, and mess up some of the storylines. And so they're like, oh, we're just going to make sure you navigate to your own story. I don't know. Maybe that's what they could be doing with her. That's just me spitballing.
Set up beginning to end. We only got to experience the beginning with these first 2 expansions, but wow, I wish we could have seen more.
Yep.
From what we've heard in Monument, they had some epic plans. I mean, the Winnower, Seer Ido, the list goes on and on. This is Cope, don't mistake.
Yeah, but I just want to say something that this is what the plan was. It really the plan, or was it them drawing out this shitty narrative, kind of like what they did with Lightfall? Like if you remember, Lightfall and the Final Shape used to be one thing. They were one expansion, but then they split it up, and that's why Lightfall was such an abomination, is that they took half of Lightfall and tried to make it into a full expansion to pad out, to make more money. A lot of people forget that, but Lightfall and Final Shape were actually were together. They split them up though. Sony is too stupid to like D3. Their goal currently seems to lose money and piss off gamers. But they're being rewarded. That's the sad thing. Their stocks are going up. They're being rewarded.
Take it for naught. Nearly the whole D2 team is gone. Cinematics, raid teams, everything. I don't know what Sony's plan is. Start incubation projects small and rebuild the team back up again if necessary. But to me, Destiny's
I don't think
last
so.
hope in terms-
I think it's cope to think that they're going to rebuild Destiny. Rebuild Bungie to make Destiny. No. I think maybe that, or they're going to pay someone else. They're going to go the cheaper route, not pay for... They're going to go for the cheapest route possible. Though I say that and they spent $400 million on Concord. Who knows what's going through Sony's mind? But at this time, Sony has not shown any love for Destiny except for when they said farewell to it and Bungie employees. That was the only time we ever heard Herman say anything about Destiny positively. It's like, hey, we know Destiny's loved, but it didn't do well. We're firing you people. Bye.
In terms of Bungie side of things is the narrative team. It's crazy how many plot threads there still are. I don't think it's possible to close all of them entirely, but there's always something interesting to pick up off from. Riven and her eggs, the Winnower, Mara's plan.
Chat, I know just about everybody's been wiped out, but Allison is still there. Do we know if Tyson Green is still there? And Robbie, is Robbie still there? It's Cope.
Tyson. I have that clip where he got asked, what's the reason to come back to Edge of Fate? What's the reason? And he's like, like he struggled to give a reason to come back. There wasn't one, and go figure, there really wasn't one.
They want stories for Marathon, dude. They went all in on Marathon. They're not going to backpedal, or they won't backpedal now. So what you're saying right now is that Allison is currently writing stories for Marathon. Here's my problem with it. Allison is not going to start writing lore cores for Marathon, okay? She's a narrative director that had a team on cinematics that would deliver storylines to us inside of Destiny. The entire cinematic team has been let go. Even on the Sony side,
well, that's why I'm thinking that either it's incubation project and or she is being put on Marathon and she's gonna well, actually, I would not be surprised if she's put on Marathon specifically because Sony's all in on Marathon and Bungie is desperate to make Marathon pop. So they're gonna try to make maybe she's working on PvE. She's worked there. Maybe they're I don't know. I'm just spitballing. Maybe she's helping make a PvE story or like campaign or I don't think the campaign is gonna ever happen. But maybe they're making a PvE storyline and that's what she's gonna do. I don't know.
cinematic team has been let go. I don't know how much narrative / cinematics are going to be present outside of what's already been made for Marathon. I wouldn't be surprised they have another season of cinematics lined up, just in terms of just like media drops. But who is going to be making storylines and cinematics even on Marathon side? What I'm saying is it makes more sense. And again, I might be full of copium here. It makes more sense. I think it's copium. Allison may in fact be on some sort of incubation project. She's getting it fleshed out. They're presenting. They're getting things greenlit. That actually does make more sense than her moving to Marathon. I'm just being honest, guys. I just don't see it Destiny. And if it is Destiny, it's not going to be good. You don't lay off all the people that made Destiny, the good parts of Destiny good, and then expect to make Destiny 3 or some other side Destiny project. There's no world that makes sense. There's 400 developers left. Sony wants all the attention on Marathon. They want Marathon to pop off. The pressure to survive is on Marathon. Where are they getting the funds? Where are they getting the time? Where does the talent come from? Are you going to pull some of the most talented people from Marathon to work on the Destiny incubation project? If there even was one, if we're just playing along with that? No. Because then you are doing what you did to Destiny by removing talent and experience to work on a different IP, which then hurts your ongoing game. It's just like, at this point, we're ping-ponging back and forth, making the same mistakes, and you're desperately hoping for something to stick. Don't care what they do to Marathon, it will never be Destiny. No, it won't. It makes more sense that Allison is working on something related to Destiny versus going to Marathon. Is 100% Cope, brother? Maybe I am. Maybe I am.
It is Cope.
The Fate Saga, although had some bad gameplay choices to start and an inspired story for Renegades,
It had uninspired story, uninspired gameplay from Edge to Renegades. Because here's the deal. If Renegades, if the story was so damn good, especially Edge of Fate, people would have played the shit out of it. But gameplay and narrative going hand in hand.
was still good in my opinion. The 9 were the biggest mystery in the Destiny
I
universe.
appreciate that he was bold enough to say, in my opinion, instead of just saying in general as if that's the consensus. Because I guarantee you, if you poll most of the community, people, especially people off Twitter, you polled actual people playing, most people would say that these stories were fucking ass.
Might it have hit harder in a Destiny
Except
3?
Lodi. I like Lodi. Maybe, and I might be in the minority who also I like Lodi. Yes, he was a generic ass dude, but listen, I like the generic ass dude from old Earth. Like, not everything has to be futuristic like Nimbus. I would rather have Lodi than Nimbus.
100%. The 9 did not feel as big as they could have been, but I think that's because the game was where it was. Still, playing the campaigns, introducing Lodi as a character, and even seeing a dead member of the 9 was crazy.
Yeah, so our first expansion this year.
I thought that was it was the stupidest shit I've ever seen. That, first off, they took one of the most hated fucking villains, one of the shittiest fan fiction, you got a lesbian robot wife beater, and that's what she is. She literally abused and killed her wife multiple times, different versions of her, to find the perfect version of her, only to become the main villain. And this is the beauty of the story, by the way, to then somehow kill a fucking god. And the excuse is, well, they're not supposed to be part of this reality, and because they were in this reality, they were easily killed, which is just the most MacGuffin, was Ex Machina bullshit story ever. And then with the Monument of Triumph, you retcon her being, losing the power, or no, Renegades, where she's losing the power of her echo. She's now a side character that's not involved, and now apparently in the Monument of Triumph's lore, which again, core lore, now being in lore books, which I'm not going to hold it against them. You can only do so much when you're being told you're being kicked out the door. So that's the part where I won't throw, sand in their face. But they retcon her being chased by Baal and Savathun to kill her. This is some fan fiction shit, and she directed that.
The Edge of Fate is the start of a brand new multi-year saga called the Fate Saga. And so we want to tell us.
I don't mean to call
The
out Robbie
shit
right
saga!
here, but this is also a very important person. And if he's still at Bungie, I have to ask, Robbie, what you doing? What you working on, man? What you got going on?
Story about something older, about the nature of fate itself. Are we bound by it?
I at this point, I feel like any major leader needs to be removed from Bungie. I don't care. Wipe the slate clean, get some new leaders. I would rather keep the developers and get new leaders, because you can have a shitty developer, but you can have a good leader that keeps them from doing things that you don't want them to do. What's that? You want to do a dating simulator? No, we're not doing that. Don't put that shit in. Which is funny. That's the only good thing that I've ever heard about the current Bungie leaders, that they stop stupid shit like that. But like, you can control shitty devs with good leadership. You can also make a shitty game with bad leadership.
Can we fight it? Because before the Traveler ever arrived in our solar system, there was already space magic here, Andy. Yeah. And so ultimately, this is a story that we're going to explore one of Destiny's biggest mysteries and the foundations of the universe itself.
The Fate Saga is one of the subjects of today.
I'm just going to skip ahead.
Conclusion to your saga.
Means 3 to 4. Several typically means 3 to 4.
Okay, I'm just skipping ahead.
The Edge of Fate launches on July 5th.
I don't want to sit here. This is a cope session. I don't give a shit.
The Shatter Cycle, the Alchemist, they named. I wanted one more day one raid. I wanted one more, hey, listen, we're going to try to kill you.
I
And
agree
I'll be
on
honest,
that.
We're not going to get it. We're not going to get it. They laid off the entire raid and dungeon team. There is no one at Bungie who can make in-game content to
No.
that caliber. And I know some of y'all are like, but Cross, they could just bring in the marathon team and they can make it. Don't get me wrong. I like Cryo Archive, right? But I just don't see that happen. Okay, you know where I'm coming from? I just don't see that happen.
It's going to take us to some new places.
Destiny has over 10 years of lore. New players were already lost when they tried to play the game. Imagine trying to understand the story. Wait, the Traveler Big Ball in the Sky does what? And
Which, by the way, unless you read all the lore books, you still don't know what the fuck the Traveler does. The literal mascot of your story, outside of you, the Traveler making ghosts and giving the power of light, if you don't read every lore book and understand Paracausal to the deeper, you have no idea what the fuck the Traveler is. You don't know about the garden game. You don't know fuck all. Just let that sink in. Even without the Red War story, you have no fucking clue what the fuck the Traveler is.
who is the witness and why does it want a final shape? A future game would have to simplify things at least to start, which sucks for the hardcore fans. I'm sure it would get some harsh feedback for that.
No, hardcore fans, we're talking about hardcore lorists. I think there are people like you, if you were to tell the PvP mains, they wouldn't give a shit. They're just like, make my PvP good. PvE mains, they would give you a pass if the gameplay and the raids were good and the gunplay. It's only really the lore nerds. And honestly, if you're going to shaft someone, it should be the lore nerds.
But when you think about it, it is
And I say this as someone who plays Halo. And I played Halo 5. The lore, the story, the whole campaign was ass. It wasn't just the narrative. It was also the gameplay that was awful. It was boring. It was trash. Multiplayer was fun, but multiplayer alone couldn't save that game.
necessary. One of Destiny's biggest issue was finding new players to bring in. That should be one of the main focal points of a new game. The unfortunate part of all this,
Destiny
though, is that
Rising.
there's so much still left to tell.
I'm just skipping
Tell me
ahead.
in the comments. Does Sony still value the Destiny IP?
No.
I assume they
Maria Torkin, who is now the new studio head of Bungie. His background is marketing and licensing. He actually worked directly also with NetEase and getting Destiny Rising out, but that's his expertise, if you will. If Bungie is going to go down a path here with Sony when it comes to licensing out Destiny,
Oh, that's what I
content, whatever
said.
it may be, maybe more mobile games, maybe like we talked about.
Okay, so he's saying the same shit that I did. I'm skipping ahead then.
Games, could be anything. That there was no conflict. Destiny 3 down the road. Well, you can't just license the game out, guys, and just be like, oh yeah, you want to do whatever with Destiny's name? You know what I mean? Someone out there will go make Destiny dildos. It'll be some rubber dick with Guardians make their own fate on it. You know where I come from? You can't just license this shit out to anyone and everyone you want. There's a process of doing it. And when it comes to story delivery,
Unless you're Disney. Disney literally gives everyone a chance if you have the money. If you have the money, Disney will let you. Or if you're Fortnite, everyone will come to you and give you their IP to put in your game. Fortnite has everyone.
okay, you got to have someone.
I'm
guide
waiting for
that
Mickey
storyline
Mouse
to
in
make sure
Fortnite.
it doesn't conflict with the actual story of Destiny. And that's if you care about.
Yeah, that's what I said. I'm skipping ahead.
Could be you guys.
It's crazy that he came to the same conclusion I did.
And Marathon. It could be a Destiny spin-off game. Could be a Destiny single-player game. You know what? Considering that Herman Hulse's background is Guerrilla Games, the new studio head also came from Guerrilla Games, you might get a Destiny-inspired Horizon Zero Dawn. Won't hit the same. I'm not saying it would hit. I'm just saying that's kind of their background. You know, that's kind of their background. So
I think a Destiny campaign would do well. I do. I don't think it would satiate the veterans. I think it would satiate new players. I do. If you did like a Destiny Rising news story, I absolutely do think if it was written not by Allison, if you literally went the route of NetEase and they made a single player campaign, I think it could slap.
It's crazy to think that we went from looking forward and wondering about the future of the saga in Destiny 2 to learning that the game is stopping development and everyone who worked on it is gone.
I mean, I saw that coming
So I have
2
no
years
clue what's
ago,
happening
3
with
years
the narrative
ago.
team that worked on Destiny, the members that are still there. But God, I hope it's something to do with Destiny. maybe this really is the end. The remaining narrative team is only.
I would say I'm a realist, and I'm gonna give you here's the nail to your bubble, your cope bubble. For your own, happiness and joy, just assume that this is it. Enjoy it, take your time, and then move on. Go back to really, have some fun. It's not going anywhere. I do with Destiny 1, I'll go back and play some Destiny 1. But don't sit there and delude yourself and hype yourself up only to be disappointed when it never happens. I hate that. I hate when people do that to themselves. It's like stop punching yourself in the dick. Stop. Get some help.
Only there to help Marathon, which seems like one of Sony's big goals. Maybe Destiny never gets another game, at least in a huge live service fashion. But as long as there are still people at Bungie who know this universe, I don't think it's impossible that someday, somehow, Destiny does return. But anyway, Guardians, that's all we got for today's video. Given I love to talk about the story and lore, and we know that the franchise is dead in the water for now, it made me wonder where it could go. If you'd like to see some more Destiny news,
Copium train, but I am curious. I told you guys that if Allison still was at Bungie, we had to question why. And there's other people too. So I don't know. Call her, man. Let me tell you something. I'm not about to. First up, they can't talk to me about any of that stuff, even if there was something.
Notice something. He didn't say he didn't have a way to contact her. I always say beware content creators and their relationship with Bungie. The fact that he can actually call her, because my immediate response would have been like, I don't have her number, or I have no way to contact her, or I can't just call Bungie HQ and they'll ring me up. There was like no denial of that.
Related to Destiny going on, they're not going to talk to me. And then secondly, I can't come to you guys and be like, you wouldn't believe what Allison told me. Word vomit. You know what I mean? Let's get a poll in the stream. Do you believe Bungie is in fact mysterious?
Let's just skip ahead.
Hire some people back. I'm here. Percent says no. All right.
Oh yeah, it's no.
Well, there you go, guys. There you go.
All right, I escalated because this video has gone long enough, and like I said, I typically don't like reacting. It felt like I reacted more to Evase than I did Astacross, but Astacross, my main reaction is that he's coping. Listen, a lot of these content creators have friends with Bungie, and they're really tight-knitted, which is why when, I make a video, they all start blocking because either they see it or people that are friends with them see it, and then they tell them. Listen, when Bungie shuts down, I will say, first off, put the fries in the bag. Secondly, I told you so. In a year from when Bungie shuts down and Marathon or whatever, I'll be like, remember a year ago when the inevitable happened? Well, I told you so. I didn't want it to happen, but it happened. And I've always been brutally honest. And I've always looked out for the gamer, never fondling any billion-dollar company's balls. And guess what? This is what happens when you fondle the $1 billion balls. You get fucked. And it's not enjoyable. And they don't pay you. They raw dog you. They're not your friends. Unless you're a content creator, in which case you're like a fellow business, contractor, a fellow company, so to speak. Anyways, I'm Mr. Game Counselor. Let me know what you think. Do you think Allison Lurkin is the hope that Astacross and Evade think? I don't. I think we're coping. But let me know in the comments down below. I'll see you guys in the next video. By the way, the link will be down below if you just watch it in its full duration without any changes. Do so. I'm reacting at my speed because I talk so much. So, see ya.